Okay, good morning, everybody. Let's go ahead and get started. Let me know if you guys can hear my audio and see my screen in the chat box. Just give me a little Y or yes there just to let me know that it is indeed working. Hope everybody's having a fantastic morning so far. I'm looking forward to wrapping up our week together this Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. Awesome. Also want to give a shout out and welcome everybody here and also those watching this in the recording. Want to say hello to you guys as well and welcome you to the webinar today. Before we get started, as always, let's go over our disclaimer. You can lose all or more than your initial investment if you're not careful. So please be aware of how many pips you're risking on each trade, in addition to how big your lot size is, and ultimately how that would affect your account if you were to lose money. All right, guys. So let's do this. We got a lot of cool stuff to talk about today, and potentially some trades we can get into. Most importantly, I'd like to get us prepared for next week and make sure everybody's on the same page for yeah, our trades next going forward. So let's go over our caught trades, or at least the top 6 leverage funds trades this week. I still have. Let me actually check. I actually haven't checked these trades this morning. So let me see how. I think I just had one open last I checked. So let me go ahead and pull up that account. Okay, yeah. So the only trade I still have open is the USD yen long. It's up 52 pips. I'm going to go ahead and close that one now. Yeah, close for plus 52. Okay, so that gives me 52 pips there. And then close and then done. Okay. And then my pound yen did close in the money at its trailing stop, and it closed for 1 second. I got to figure this out. I always have to figure out what that is in pips. This platform doesn't tell me how many pips I made. I have to calculate that on my own. So let me switch over and do that. Okay. Okay. Okay, so if one way you guys can do this, you can take the exit price, so the price you closed at, which for me on the pound yen was at 182.949 minus the entry price, which is 181. Excuse me, 182 also 0.171. Yep, that looks good. And then if you multiply, if it's a yen pair, you have to multiply by 100. So let's times that by 100. And that's how many pips. So it's 77.8 pips. If it's 0.8, we round it to 78. So we'll go ahead and put that in there. So this ended up making 78 pips right there. Okay, so as far as the leverage funds trades go this week, it was kind of a wash. We had some winners in there, some losers in there. So it wasn't anything crazy this week. Yeah, yeah. In fact, it would have been nice had this trade not hit its stop loss, because in the end it actually made money. But what do? You can't afford to have your stop loss out further than that. So we just stopped out of that one, and the rest of those, or a couple of these, made some money. This one ended up losing a little bit. So did this one. Anyway, for a grand total of minus 41 pips. So, a little bit down on those 6 trades this week, but nothing, it wasn't anything huge either. Some of you told me that you actually made, like, I had some people text me yesterday telling me that they had made more than that. I think my entries weren't as good as most folks, just because of the timing that I got in on Sunday. But if you're around that number, if you're close to this, then you did it right. That's good. You should feel good about yourself doing that correctly. Okay, so all my applications closed because I uh, got onto my computer this morning and um, got out of my computer this morning and got onto my computer, and it required an update. I had to restart everything, so I'm just pulling up my applications again. But let's look at this here. Okay, so we took this trade yesterday morning. This one did not trigger. We can still leave it open if you'd like. I don't think there's anything wrong hanging on to it. I think it's still a good trade. It's this CAD franc. This is a price action trade, right? So let's go. Yeah, let's go ahead and zoom in. It's actually kind of too bad we didn't take this trade earlier, but such is life, right? But um, here is here was basically what we're trying to do. So CAD Franc, we're looking for a sell. The market has been pushing down all week, and as far as we can tell, there isn't really any significant supply or demand in this area. So we should expect even more downward pressure to the CAD Franc. On top of that, we've got other things like the COT report indicating a sell. Uh, Sentiment is also telling us to continue to sell. As far as supply and demand concepts go, there isn't really any demand nearby that's significant. So that's why we've been trying to sell this. I just got a little too conservative, I would say, with my entry because I was trying to get up into this demand, this supply area to take my sell. I wanted a better price, and obviously the market's just been going down without us. So, that happens. I mean, it's just the cost of trying to get a better entry, rather than just getting in right away. Um, Honestly, I think, you know what, let's just close that because I don't think it's worth, at this point, we need to find better entries than this up here. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and close it. Let's find something else. Um, because I was hoping that was going to trigger last night and it didn't. So let's go ahead and just close that trade. So let me just make a little update to everybody here. Okay, this trade never triggered. Okay, there you go. Okay, awesome. All right, other cool things, guys. As far as taking trades, I don't know if you guys have seen this on the website yet, but I have made huge strides with the scanner. Let's see if it's still working this morning. Last I checked last night. Yep, it looks like it's still working. Good. So awesome. So this is the scanner that I've built so far. Um, and it's legit, guys. So let me give you a little bit of a tutorial how this works. So over here on the left side, um, you've got all the different currency pairs. And in the future here, hopefully in the next week or two, I'm going to be adding COT data and sentiment data for gold, silver, US 30, NAS 100, and oil. So that will be towards the bottom. So be ready for that. That'll be kind of fun to see. But right now, I just wanted to focus on getting the 28 major currency pairs in here. And this is legit. I don't know if you guys have been able to, how many of you have been able to come and play around with this already? Just let me know in the chat box if you've been able to play around with this. And let me know your thoughts. But it's kind of cool. So you've got the different currency pairs here. This is nice. So this will rearrange the currency pairs for the best weekly signal as far as COT signals go, right? So you've got right here the Aussie franc at the very top as a strong sell, strong sell. You've got a bunch of strong sells here. You've got some strong buys, and then it starts to fade into just regular sells. So not as strong, but then just a sell. You've got some trades that are kind of neutral, meaning there's really no signal to be had as far as COT goes. And then below that, you've got signals that are um, um, just buy. They're not strong buys, but they are buys. Let's see. Yeah, we have some strong buys in here. Yeah, there's 4 strong buys there. This next column right here is pretty awesome. It's the shift. So this is really nice because obviously I'm going to give you the strong signal as far as the weekly COT goes, the shift in COT signal goes here. But this is kind of nice if you want to see how intense that shift was over the last week. So if you turn this, if you sort this, it's pretty awesome because when you sort it at the top here, you can see the strongest shift. So as you guys already know, we've been talking about it all week. The pound Kiwi had the biggest shift as far as COT positions go. Biggest shift right there. So what does that mean? Well, it means that when you isolate the pound and the kiwi itself, um, and then fuse them together into a pair, so the pound kiwi, those individual currencies experience the most opposite moves of each other. So, kiwi had the most down, and the pound had the most up as far as bank positions went this last week. So, looking for a strong buy on the pound kiwi would be the signal for the week. And you guys already know that that's done very, very well. The next one is actually kind of far away as far as shifts go, the Euro Kiwi, but it's still pretty strong. And then you've got a franc yen and a pound Aussie and so on. And you flip it the other way, you can see the NZD franc had a massive shift negative. What does that mean? Well, it means that um, the NZD had a really negative shift this week, and the franc had a really negative shift, or positive shift, excuse me. So you had one going one way. This is equivalent to that concept when we teach about the Cott report, where it's like a football game where you have two teams that are one's really, really good and the other one's really, really bad. That's what's happening when you see it. When you see a really negative number versus a really positive number, that's what that's trying to tell you. So that is really cool, guys, because now you don't have to go searching through the Cott Report journal to find these. This has got it all ranked for you, which is so legit. And it's honestly, I think, a lot better looking than just looking at the spreadsheet. And it's nice because it's just right on the site, so you can access it there. Um, and then next column, you have the sentiment right here, which is where um, you have the um, uh, signal as far as sentiment goes. Okay. So this is awesome because this is already telling you if retail traders are buying this, then obviously it's time um, to sell. And this is ranked as well. So I've already set this up so that if it's a really strong signal against retail traders, it will give you either a strong sell or a strong buy. If it's just like if you come down here, you can see these are just some sells, and then these are just buys. Um, but yeah, anything that's strong is pretty good. And the other thing I was going to say is if you can get something that says strong sell as far as COT goes and strong sell as far as sentiment goes, then that's going to be a really good trade, generally speaking, for the week. Um, and then you've got the um, yeah, so that's kind of nice. So and vice versa, if you're looking for a buy, it's kind of nice if you can find, let's actually do this the other way. Yeah, like right here, the NZD yen is no, not the NZD yen. The franc yen is a strong buy as far as COT goes, and sentiment goes as a strong buy. So that's a good one. Next column right here that you can categorize by percent. So if you actually hover over this, it highlights the percent. I wish I could actually put the percent inside that green bar. It doesn't let me do that, unfortunately. I've been trying to figure out a way to do that. But if you hover over it, it can show you as far as sentiment goes, which is the strongest as far as sentiment goes. And the pound franc is extremely bought up, which means it's a strong selling signal. The euro franc is also pretty bought up. Again, generally a sell signal. If you reverse it the other way, you can see on the franc yen, not very bought up. It's actually mostly sold, which brings us to our next column here. It's the most sold currency right now as far as retail traders go. And so there's obviously a buy alert there. Last column, for now, I'm actually going to add a few more things to it that are going to make this even more awesome. But I added this daily range here, average daily range. So this comes directly from the Maytaf site, which is super awesome. So you don't have to go to Maytaf anymore to figure out your average daily range. It's just all right here. So you've got like you can categorize. This is actually kind of cool. You can switch this up by let's see why. Okay, I actually need to fix one thing in there. That's kind of interesting, but it's fine. It works just fine. I just noticed something, but it shows you the average daily range for each currency. So if you're, let's actually change this up again. So if you're trading the Aussie CAD, this is the average daily range for the Aussie CAD. So this kind of gives you an idea of if you're going to take a day trade on the Aussie CAD, your stop loss should never be more than that amount, right? Um, like if you're going to take a trade with the Aussie franc, it's about 40 pips. So you're, um, oh, I know why that's doing that. Oh, it's because I put the, okay. Anyway, it's kind of cool. I'm just discovering some things as I'm working. Okay. So the Aussie franc here is 40 pips. So that kind of gives you an idea. Oh, like, oh, hey, the Aussie franc has a smaller average daily range than the Aussie CAD. So naturally, my stop loss should be a little bit smaller and my lot size bigger naturally because it's a lower average daily range. Let's find one with a really big one. I think the biggest one this week is the pound Kiwi. So the pound Kiwi has almost a 140 pip average daily range. So thinking of that, it's like, oh, well, maybe our stop loss should be bigger on that one than say like the euro pound, which only has 36 pips. This is where a lot of traders fail, to be honest. And I really wanted to add this component into the scanner because a lot of traders really fell with this. Because think about it, the pound Kiwi moves 140 pips a week or a day on average. From its lowest low to its highest high, and the euro pound moves only 36 pips. So unless we're naturally rearranging our lot size and our stop loss to match the currency pair we're trading with, it's never going to make sense to like it. You'll just be lost in your lot size. You may even know where the market's going, but you'll be lost in your risk management. So it just won't even be helpful at that point. Right. So I'm really passionate about this concept of organizing your trade and your risk management specific and tailored to the currency pair of which you're trading and also the account that you're using, right? Very important to go through that process. And so I thought I'd throw that piece in there so that when you're looking for individual trades throughout the week and you want to take extra trades because of this, um, this will kind of give you a guideline as to, hey, don't put your stop loss over this amount, but maybe find something that's more appropriate within that range would probably be a good idea. Okay, cool. So let's answer some of these other questions. So Angie says, are you going to be taking the 6 trades a week still? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to be posting those in Telegram. The thing that I am going to be changing though is I've back tested, as you guys know, extensively the shift in COT data. So we're still going to take the 6 trades, but most likely what's going to happen is the 6 trades are probably going to be, for example, if we were to do this week, the 6 trades would have been like the NZD franc, NZD CAD, maybe Aussie franc. Let's look on the other side. Yeah, like pound Kiwi long buy. Euro Kiwi buy would have been one. Let's see on the other side. Yeah, and then probably this franc yen long as well would have been the signal for the week. And then I'll just give you a stop loss, most likely based off of this average daily range, or at least 75% of it. So we'll still be posting those. But the leveraged funds, as far as current holdings goes, that's been a real struggle for us recently. And based off of my back testing of the COT shift, this seems to be a much more potent and more powerful signal. So I'm still going to take the leverage funds trades just to continue to have that forward testing and to continue with it. But I, I think we have a much more superior way to trade here. So I want to really focus in and hone in on this. Um, in fact, just real quickly, I want to just show you guys. Oh, actually, before I do that, let me answer this last question. Okay, so that hopefully that answers your question, Angie. Yes, we're still going to post those. Yes, those will be posted Saturday. So you guys can go ahead and, or I might actually post them this afternoon because it's actually my anniversary this weekend. So I might actually just try to get them all out this afternoon. And then they'll just sit there until Sunday. Yeah, we might do that. We might do that actually. And then Johnny says, how often is the data updated? So it's actually live. So the sentiment updates live, and that is directly from a source that I have that's connecting the sentiment data. And then if you the COT shift, this comes from and COT signal that comes directly from the COT report. So as you know, the COT report only updates once a week every Friday in the afternoon around 4 p.m. Eastern. So sometime over the weekend, I will go in and put in new COT signals. Not in here necessarily. It's just going to be through my spreadsheet. And you guys have access to that too. So it'll update there, and then that will subsequently carry over to the site, and it live updates. I think there's a little bit of a lag between the spreadsheet and the site that can be a few minutes at most, but I've never seen it take longer than that. Um, um, and let's see what else I was going to say about this. So you won't see the COT signals change throughout the week. These are going to be fixed signals. These are weekly signals, and that's the best use of this, by the way. So we'll talk about that part in just a moment. But these are weekly signals that will be posted. Um, that it'll update on the weekends, and then you're like, oh, okay, this is what I should be looking for. I should be looking for opportunities to, sell the NZD yen, sell the USD francs, sell the New Zealand dollar and Aussie franc, and so on. All of these should be things I should be looking for. Um, and and as far as sentiment goes, that can change though on the fly. Sentiment doesn't change a ton throughout the day, but in a 2-day period or 3-day period, it could change drastically. I've actually seen, so for example, I saw one thing already update from yesterday. For example, like this NZD franc used to be just a sell. It used to be, it just was a sell alert just 2 days ago or a day ago. And now it's changed to a strong sell. So, um, yeah, that's actually kind of fun to see that live update, auto update, which is really, really awesome. But that's how often it'll update. But it's not like something where it's giving you new signals every 15 minutes. I mean, a lot of this is going to be the same for the week, and that brings me to the context of this. So the best use of this is going to be very similar to our top 6 trades of the week. It's going to be like, hey, um, can you make money by simply just going into the market, plugging in a sell because it says to sell here, and then plugging in a daily range stop loss? I think you can actually. I think you can make money doing that. It's not going to be flawless. Like you're going to be on the wrong direction a couple of times because if your focus is scalping, but if your focus is to take a weekly trade, I would be pretty confident that most weeks, if you took every single one of these trades, at least the ones that are strong, at the start of the week and held them to the end of the week, I think most of these you'd be pretty pleased with. But again, it's not always going to be that way. I mean, there have been some trades that have been pretty strong, and then they have a detour, and then they go in your favor. There's been a few that have happened that way this week. So yeah, just something to be aware of. But this should help. Another thing, another great way to trade this, guys, would be here's another really strong method to do this, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday, would be to come in here, categorize this by strong COT signal, by strongest COT signal and weakest COT signal. So this will put the top sells and top buys at the very top here, and then try to align this with the sentiment. And then what you do is go look for breakouts. So you're looking for trend continuations if this is the case, right? So like this is a trend continuation. Yep, can look for that. This one, same thing here. Here. This one's a little bit, this one's kind of interesting. You have a strong signal as far as COT goes, but there's a buy indication on the sentiment. That can happen. That definitely is possible. I don't usually see the opposite. Like I haven't seen a strong sell with a strong buy on the other side, but I have seen, I'm sure that will happen eventually, but I have seen a strong buy with a sell, or I've seen, like, where's that one that I just saw? yeah, it's oh, like for example here, this euro pound has just a sell. It's not necessarily strong. And but sentiment says buy, right? That one would be pretty confusing. I probably wouldn't want to trade that one because you've got conflicting signals there, right? Um, Let me show you a trade I took last night using this. So I went in here last night and I was looking for a setup. What I did is I actually categorized this by the shift, and I just went through each one that had a really big shift and regarded it as strong. So I went through here. I looked at the pound Kiwi. In fact, on the other side, I looked at the NZD Franc, NZD CAD. I looked at all of those, and I saw that those had already made their big moves for the week. The move that we were anticipating already had happened. Like if you look at the NZD Franc, I mean, by gosh, this thing has just gone crazy. Look at that thing, just keeps on going. Um, yeah, that was a good signal. It just keeps going, right? Um, but so for me, I struggle to jump into trades when they're already moving. Um, I know I probably should do more of that. Um, I really, really should. Like I could have gotten in here last night, but I didn't. That's my bad. For getting in again. What I like is how at the beginning of the week, between Monday and Tuesday, this is where I guess between Sunday and Tuesday, the market went up a little bit. And so that's where we were shorting. We were shorting because we said, hey, we've got a strong caught signal here to sell this, and it's actually going up right now. So that's a divergence in the actual signal, um, which is good because that means that there's probably a big move coming soon. And this one did indeed do that. So I looked at all these, and I looked at when I went back to the scanner, I looked at other things like the NZD CAD. Let's go look at that one real quick. And just everything had already made its move, and I was like, dang, I kind of missed a lot of this. It's already gone. Um, so, but I found one that hadn't yet. So this is how I traded it. So this is a way you can come in here and do the same thing. So I found a strong buy on the franc yen. Sentiment wise, I think it was just rated as a buy last night. Now it's actually a strong buy, which is kind of interesting. Um, and I went in here last night and I pulled up the franc yen. Let's pull that one up. And this is the trade I bought last night. Nice little cool trade here. Um, so last night when I found this, it had made a pullback right here. It had made a pullback. Um, I know it was up from the start of the week, which is good, but I saw this pulling back into a demand zone, and the signal was still extremely strong, even though it made a pullback. So I thought, well, this is probably just a spring. It's probably just going to spring off of that. And the sentiment was still pretty strong, whether it was a strong buy or just a buy. Either way, it was still um, the signal would be retail traders, even though it had made a pullback, were still selling, which is good because that means that provides an even better opportunity for you to buy. Right. So that's what I did. That's the trade I took last night. Kind of mad I didn't post it in the group. Um, but that is the essence of what I did. That's just pretty much going in there, finding something that's underbought or oversold based off of this information. And if it is, and you've got the clearance here to go in and do that, then that's a pretty good trade. And what did I do for my stop loss? Well, I just did a simple thing. I just took the average daily range. I honestly could have gotten away with a half an average daily range, but that's all I did was just an average daily range. But it looks like I could have done a lot better than that. But this is super powerful. Very, very, very powerful. Okay, let me read some. Oh, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Um, that is awesome. Yours is next weekend, Angie. That's awesome. Will you be, let's see, will will you be taking sentiment trades, or is this essentially both styles replacing sentiment trading? That's a good question. I'm still testing out the overnight sentiment strategy. It's still, and we're still going to be hosting a class on sentiment and how to trade sentiment this coming Wednesday. Um, but it's not a strategy that's like really like we've got a strategy currently with it, but it's not something like it's not been established like we've done with the top six caught trades a week, right? It's not something that's, it's just something that we're exploring. That's why that's actually why the class is called Sentiment Lab. It's because we're still trying to figure out ways to better trade it. Um, I don't know if it'll replace it. I think it's still worth trading. If that's something that you enjoy doing, I think it's worth doing. I mean, last night, a lot of these sentiment trades did fantastic. What's cool is you could actually come in here. You don't even have to go anywhere now. You can just go to this site, and when you're trading a sentiment trade, just come in here and categorize these by the strongest sells and the strongest buys, and you can do that for your sentiment trading. That would work perfectly. Um, no, so I definitely think it's still worth continuing to do, especially if that's a strategy you feel like you can keep up with and works for you. I do think, however, sometimes it's nice if your style is more to find um like what's happening in the market. I think this will help you a lot more if that's kind of more your style. Because you can go in there and say, okay, these are the strongest things as far as fundamentals and sentiment goes. So based off of that, let's go into the market and see if there's something undersold or overbought, and let's see if there's a demand zone we can get into, like I did with that Frank Yen last night. I think that's a more active approach, and this is going to really help you with that. And then also for those that want to just kind of look at the weekend as um, hey, it's the weekend. Let's look and see what signals are available. Um, what's the strongest trades this week? This is going to be super awesome. But yeah, great question. You're no good to us as a couch surfer. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, awesome. So what you'll see this weekend in here, guys. And by the way, I was hoping you guys could I am giving this to you guys for free. And we're going to be adding a few things to it. So a couple of things I was hoping, I mean, it's not free necessarily. I mean, it's part of your membership to the program. It's tied to your membership, but I'm not going to charge you guys additionally for this. This is just a tool that I want you guys to use. I hope it's extremely helpful. So feel free to hop in here and use this. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or ask these questions in the webinar. That's awesome. But I was going to say, yeah, this will be tied to your membership. Because but the only thing I was hoping you guys would do in return is give me feedback. So if you feel like there's something that you'd like on here, um, um, like if you'd like another piece of data, or if there's something that's flawed that you feel like could be different, I welcome that constructive criticism. So please send me messages, text messages, emails if you feel like there's something here that would be more helpful. As far as design goes, I have limitations on that. So if you think the design's funny, still give me that criticism, and I'll see what I can do. But the design, I'm limited on this application on what things I can do. But I think design doesn't matter as much. I think what matters is how powerful it is and if it makes you money. I think that's what really matters, right? Um, I love this too because I used to jump around between applications like the COT report journal. I jump around between sentiment indexes. I jump around between the Maytaf site, and now um, it's just all in one place. So I'm excited. This is literally the tool that I've been wanting to create for a long time, just for myself even. So I am super excited to even just be able to share that with you guys too. Is so awesome. You're awestruck with it, Roger. I love that. I really appreciate that support. That's awesome. Angie says, can you explain the COT shift briefly again? Negative numbers is good, bad. What's a good number to look for? Okay, great question. Yes, really glad you asked that question. Yeah, this is actually perhaps the most powerful signal of the entire thing. So I'm glad you asked that question. So as far as picking the right direction of the market goes for the week, not for the day necessarily, but for the week, the cot shift is your best friend. Okay. Everything else is going to support that. And if it doesn't support that, I probably wouldn't trade it because this is the far superior signal. So just a little FYI there, a little secret about how this works and how I would regard this, because there's a lot more back testing that goes behind that shift than anything else, right? So what I would do is, oh, and let me answer your question here. So, when you say is it good or bad or negative or positive? So if it's positive, the higher that number is, so if when you sort this, the higher that number is, um, the more likely that specific currency pair is going to go up this week, and by a lot, long shot, right? The more negative it is, the more like so we switch it the other way. The more negative, the more likely that currency pair is going to go down this week. Okay, and by a lot. Okay, the more neutral you get, so you can see there's some neutrals in here. Um, these are like no signals. These don't mean a thing. Okay. I probably wouldn't ever touch a neutral for like anything. Even if the sentiment was showing strong, but this was neutral, I'm just not interested because this is where the banks are moving money, and obviously they left these guys in the dust. Like they left this guy in the dust. They didn't do anything here. They didn't do anything here or anything here. So I'm not really interested in these ones. But as you start to float to the bottom or the top, that's when you start to be like, oh, these are our focus signals for the week. Absolutely. Is there a rhyme or reason to the number? Um, a little bit. So basically, this number comes from it's basically just the quote or the base currency's shift minus the quote currency shift. That's it. It's just the if you want to see the back end of it, it looks like this. So it's got the if you want to see the back end of what's going on here, yeah. So it's basically, yeah, that's all it is. It's just base currency minus quote currency shift of the week from the futures market. That's all that is. Um, I think yeah, so that's all you're looking at there. Um, yeah. And so does it matter if it's over 20 or over 10? I think that's maybe another question you're asking. Does it matter if it's over 5? I don't think I haven't really put a huge science behind that other than just again just focus on the biggest numbers, biggest numbers on the positive side and the biggest numbers on the negative side. So technically this week the best signal you could have possibly taken this week because the absolute number of all the shifts was the NZD franc. And what did the NZD franc do this week based off of this information? um wow, that guy just keeps going too. That's awesome. This this is the best trade you could have possibly taken this week is the NZD franc short based off of the data. Um, Obviously Monday and Tuesday it kind of detoured against us, but obviously by now it's just amazing, right? Um, so hopefully that answers the question as a shift. And that's my little secret to you guys is I think the thing that matters the most is that shift. So if you want to categorize by the shift and then look for confirmation as far as um, sentiment goes, coupled with your shift, I think that's ideal. Um, cool. Yeah, so to do a nightly sentiment trade, you just need to look at this. Yeah, you could definitely just come here and to do a nightly sentiment trade, what you would do is you would just switch this on or off, right? And if you just hover over each bar, it tells you how short it is. So for example, the franc yen is 85% short. So you could, so the signal for that one would be to buy it because most people are short. You could do it this way. The pound frank's the opposite. So 92% of traders are buying the pound franc, so you'd sell that one. Yeah. Yep. So sentiment trades, weekly signals. If you're just looking for a daily trade to take, this might be very helpful as well. Um, really cool. And this is kind of a one-stop shop now. Like I don't have to go anywhere else. Um, because we have it now, which is awesome. And if you guys can think of any other thing that could give us an edge, let me know. Like I was even thinking of having, um, I don't want to overdo it with stuff, but I was even thinking about maybe adding a column for like the price of a chart, or if um like a divergence in price. Like if price goes up, but the COT signal and sentiment tell us to go the other way, then that means that a reversal is coming. So maybe we can have like a reversal signal, like something that turns on that says, hey, likelihood of a reversal is coming. And then you can kind of judge based off of that data if a reversal is about to happen. Um, that way you don't get stuck in the, like if you're a trend trader and a reversal is coming, likely, then you don't stay in a trade too long. And then if a signal is likely to turn around, there's going to be a basis for that too. I'm trying to think of how I would do that. I know there's a way. I'm just trying to think of what would really be helpful. Um, I love that game changer. I love that. Game changer better than edge finder. I like that. Appreciate I see what you did there. That's awesome. I was going to ask about a divergence of some sort. Yeah, so that's probably the last signal that would be just so helpful, is just having some kind of divergence that could detect a reversal. Um, so I'll think about that. I'm not going to do it this weekend. You guys know I'm just gonna, but I am going to work on that. That's my last thing, because if we can put that in there, then it's like I don't know if there's anything else better than that. Like you've got things that tell you if the trend is going to continue, something that's going to tell you if there's a reversal coming. Like it's all there. Yeah, and a better entry would also be helpful too. I think you're right. Cool. All right, guys. Well, so today, like I said, market's pretty much wrapped up. Like I said, the trade I just took last night was this franc yen trade, and it's kind of taken off. So I think the game plan would be expect your top six trades coming out this weekend. You'll see this shift in here. This will be kind of fun. So sometime probably this afternoon or this evening, if you come back in, you'll probably see some of this data change, specifically on the COT signals. And you'll get fresh new COT signals, and you'll get sentiment probably won't change because that's a ongoing, it changes all the time. It's set to auto update even if I'm not even there to do anything. It just auto updates, which is super awesome. All right, guys. Well, have a fantastic. Let's see. Actually, before I do that, I got John's question here. Pound franc neutral, strong sell. Would you still do a sentiment trade? Yeah, as far as sentiment trades, I still would. That's a great question. You're talking about this, right? Where did it go? Um, the oh yeah, it's just there it is. Yeah, pound franc. Yeah, as far as sentiment trades go, you could still do this. It just wouldn't ever be a caught signal this week because yeah, it's neutral. But an overnight sentiment, you could absolutely use that pound franc for sure. All right, guys. Thank you for coming. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you guys on Monday.